Helo, siwmai a croeso I bodlediad Taded Trymder gyda fi Mae Dadi Huw. Hey, what's happening? It's me, Dadi Huw, with the Fathers of Metal podcast, brought to you by METALIDADS. We are outside the famous Globe venue on Albany Road in Cardiff, ready to see the band EVILE tonight. So, let's go meet the band. EVILE are an English thrash metal band from Huddersfield, formed in 2004. They've experienced numerous lineup changes over the years, with drummer Ben Carter and Aldrich the only members from the original debut album. The current lineup consists of Ben Carter on the drums, Aldrich on lead guitar and vocals, Joel Graham on the bass, and new kid on the block Adam Smith on rhythm guitar. EVILE are notably for being a part of the thrash metal resurgence movement of the mid to late 2000s, and they were highly praised by Kerrang for carrying the genre's whole revival on their shoulders. To date, the band have released 5 studio albums: Enter the Grave from 2007, Infected Nations from 2009, 5 Serpent's Teeth from 2011, Skull from 2013, and last year, 2021, it was the launch of their highly anticipated Hell Unleashed, which you can hear on their current UK tour, supported by Divine Chaos and Torture Demon. Thank you so much for speaking to METALIDADS today, very, very grateful. So, again, you're mainly from Huddersfield, is that right? Are there any notable bands that are from that area that sort of inspired you really in the early day?
Quite a few actually, like Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride. It was more like a doom scene, like around where we lived. Terrorvision came from Bradford, you know, they were around as well. So, yeah, it was more doom and gloom stuff.
Like the weather.
I did not know Paradise Lost from that neck. Yeah. I've learned something today. Does Huddersfield specifically, does it still have popular music hangout places that you frequent to if you were there?
Yeah, the parish is a good place. There's a really good venue as well. But that's really the only place in Huddersfield, I'd say, for our kind of music especially.
The parish was really close to closing during the pandemic. And they had like a crowdfunding thing.
Oh really?
And it went over and above what they were expecting, so they managed to get a new venue, like a big hall upstairs and everything. So they've not only saved it, they've made it a million times better as well. Like.
Obviously you cross paths at different times, but you're sort of generally from the same neck of the woods. Just maybe all first, what moment of inspiration or band or song that's got you playing metal music full stop? Does someone come home and say, let's do this, you've got to be doing this?
I would say, because my brother Matt got into Metallica, and I heard it and just thought, what's that shit? And then it just grew on me. I think it must have been like Master of Puppets or Fade to Black. That's when I heard it and thought, it's really interesting. I think that's what sparked it for me.
What about yourself, Joe?
It was Queen, really. I got into Queen when I was like a little kid, 6, 7 year old. My dad actually took me to see him at NEC in '84, so when I was 7. But metal, someone had lent me it. I remember I carry a bag just appearing up. I think it was one of my brother's friends. It had loads of Queen 7 inches in it, and right in the middle was 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden. The single as well. And I looked and I was, there's a skeleton with a gun on the cover, and that must be cool. And I put that on, and that was it. I was just into Maiden, and then it just kind of went from there, getting into other bands. And
opening
stuff.
riff for 2 Minutes to Midnight, it just punches you, doesn't it?
That's
thinking, wow. But that's a good place to start. I think Iron Maiden, as a bass player myself, that was actually one of the hooks for me. Was probably their debut album. So Phantom of the Opera. I was just, I want to learn to play that. So if you guys had to live on a desert island with only 3 albums, what would they be? I know, horrible. This is supposed to be the easy question.
The first ones I think of, Beneath the Remains, Sepultura, Master of Puppets, no, I'm lying, but I thought of it, and No, it'll take me forever. I can't answer it.
I know it's a horrible question. Yeah. Even like 10, that's a tough one. What about yourself, Joel?
Definitely Night at the Opera by Queen. I'm never tired of that album. And there's a great album from the early 90s by a band called Mindfunk, and it's called Dropped, and that's one of my favourite albums of all time. And probably a typo negative album just to cheer me up on if it were too sunny.
Yeah, cheer you up, of course. So, I'm trying to think, Night at the Opera, that contained the song Stone Cold Crazy, was that from that album?
That was the one before.
That was the one before.
Night at the Opera's got Bohemian Rhapsody, On Prophet's Song, Love of My Life, 39. Yeah, great album.
I've actually got it on vinyl, but I've actually not been able to actually probably listen to the album itself. But I just remember Stone Cold Crazy, it's almost like almost pro speed metal, if anything. It was almost like, what's that riff doing in the early 70s?
Yeah.
Who knows? Now, I just want to say, on behalf of METALIDADS, I congratulate you all on Hell Unleashed. Fantastic album. It's honestly, it's been definitely one of my most played album of the year, and it's quite digestible because it's only about 41 minutes.
Yeah.
As well, it's sort of like it's all over. Oh, where did that album go?
We wanted it short. It was like bish bash bosh. Out.
Try and go for like the Rain and Blood world record. Like try and do as fast as you can in 29 minutes.
Punch in the face.
Punch in the face. But honestly, it's really good, and it's just I remember hearing Hell Unleashed first. Thought I'm really looking forward to hearing more of this, and yeah. So one thing I noticed about the album, especially the titles, for example, horror films. I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I notice you guys are smiling. So I noticed there's quite a few nods, of course, to horror films in the song. Of course, you've got The Thing. Probably arguably the greatest
1982.
horror. 1982.
What's it about?
Yeah, not 2011, of course.
I don't know what it's about.
So, are you guys general fans of horror on top?
Yeah, massive fans. The Thing is my all-time favourite film. In fact, 2 albums on the desert island and a Blu-ray player with The Thing. That's my answer.
That's a good shout.
Because
I believe John Carpenter's been involved in, there's I think a Blumhouse Productions rebooting of it happening soon. I'm a bit, when I hear the word reboot, I'm like, I don't know, but I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre last night on Netflix, pleasantly surprised.
Is it good?
If you have a chance, go watch it.
I mean, technically, The Thing 1982 is a reboot. So.
Itself, from a novel, The Thing from Outer Space, which is from the novella Who Goes There, I think so. So, yeah, I love it too. We've got similar taste in horror films. Now, again, about the album, I got quite excited when, I think it was yourself that quoted this, I got really excited when you once said, I have no qualms in saying that this is the best thrash metal album in at least the last 20 years. Wow, what a statement. Are you happy with the public and critical reception that the album's had?
Yeah, I think it's the best thrash metal album. The feedback's been really good. I mean, what we were going for is just, like, everyone says, Enter the Grave's the best EVILE album, and then we do something else, they're like, you shouldn't experiment, and then you can never win, so we're like, you know what, F it. Can I swear?
Crack on, dude.
Fuck it. let's do a full-on thrash album. Speed, aggression, anger, everything, and just see what happens. And it just turned out really good, and people seem to love it. So
I think a lot of people thought that it took years to make that decision to make a just straightforward thrash album. And it did. We planned it, for like we always said after school, the next album was going to be fast, aggressive. It wasn't a last-minute decision because of the hiatus, and it were always going to be a fast, thrashy album. So, and I think it came out that way.
It did. As Ron still said, that's exactly what it says on the tin. But all you said that a lot of the riffs, for example, you've had kicking around since probably around 2018-ish. I read in another interview. So, the pandemic that happens, I don't want to mention it too much, but just for this question, lyrically speaking, has the pandemic sort of contributed lyrically a lot to the album?
Yeah, well, it's twofold. So it did contribute, but mostly in the sense that Matt left the band, and I had to write all the lyrics. So it helped in the sense that when this all happened and Matt left and everything, it gave us so much time to like revisit things and listen to the songs and rewrite everything. It inspired it in that sense, but not really lyrically. We didn't want to be like, lockdown.
Not a really cool chorus line. I'm sure someone's probably beating you to it. But that's cool. Just interesting because so many bands like Creator have released Hell über alles and hate is the virus of this world is the chorus line. So that's not subtle at all, is it?
We wanted to stay away from the COVID thing as much as possible.
I think we all saw it coming. We knew that every band would be writing about this situation.
Exactly.
Like,
Plus, we did Infected Nations in
of course,
2009,
of course.
so we've already done it.
We invented the pandemic.
We invented it. Yeah.
I like that. So what's obviously different for yourself, Ol, is you've of course gone from lead axeman to lead vocals in EVILE, and lead axeman of course, taken over from your former member and your brother Matt Drake on vocals. So as a singer myself, I'm curious about how you've adjusted to maintaining your vocal health, and what has been maybe your method so far. What have you done maybe to change preparation, I suppose, for shows?
Well, for the shows, since the album, because when we did Hell Unleashed, I couldn't sing. Chris Clancy, the producer, was helping me out because he's a vocalist, and he kind of got me there, and we got the sound we wanted, the aggressive, like, barking, basically. And then after that, I couldn't maintain that. I couldn't keep that going, so I got in touch with Melissa Cross and just started talking to her and started taking lessons from her and advice and tips and stuff. So now I have like warm-up routines. I avoid all the fun foods and drinks. So we all go to buy some food and I'm just sitting there like, I fucking hate being a singer. But no, it's all warm-ups, keeping clean, eating the right things, not eating any chocolate, all
milk,
that.
like they say, certain alcohols are good for your throat, like having a port before. I used to do that. I used to sing in the choir, used to take a glass of port, but all alcohol dries your throat. It's all unfortunately bollocks.
Yeah.
But but I'm happy to hear that you obviously put a bit of time in to get some lessons, and that's obviously
it's really helped. She's amazing,
great.
Melissa. She's so good.
Have you been happy with the, obviously it's early days because it's only been less than a week since you've been on tour. Again, Glasgow, so I've got Glasgow, Leeds, Bristol, Cardiff, Wolverhampton and London as a headline act on a UK tour, and then you're with Overkill in Dublin and Belfast. Are you happy so far with the state your voice has been after each show? Has it been okay?
Yeah, the past 2 gigs have been the first 2 where it was fine and I could hear myself and everything, I was happy with it. Before that, I was struggling or straining or, when you're playing a metal gig, it's hard to hold your voice back when you're so into it. Like you want to shout and like project, but you can't, or else you're just going to blow your voice. So I finally found that balance, so I'm really happy with it at the moment. So.
That's great. I'm really, really happy to hear that. And hopefully I wish you all the best with the vocal health just going for the rest of the tour as well. I'm sure it'll be absolutely great. Okay, Gollum. So, as I mentioned just before the interview, so the nature of our group, METALIDADS, we're a support group and, as a network of fathers, whether it's supporting fatherhood, relationships, self-care, mental health, that type of thing. So one thing that does bond us quite often is bereavement, either a child, friend, family member, etc. So you obviously lost Mike in 2009 when you were in Sweden. I don't know what it is about thrash bass players in Sweden. Don't go to Sweden, obviously. Yeah. But what did you do together as a band, I suppose, to grieve? Do you think you took the necessary time away to personally reflect and deal with the event?
No, I don't think we did, because we were so heavily into being EVILE and touring and album tour that I think we just, not that we ignored it, we just thought, right, we have to get past this, get a bassist and get back out there and then deal with it. So I think we just kind of dealt with it through carrying on doing what we were doing with Mike, which probably maybe wasn't the best way to deal with it, but I think over time we have dealt with it in our own ways. It's obviously still there and it's still a thing. We miss him all the time, but it gets better with time. It does.
So time as a healer, as of course say. But saying that, believe it or not, it's been 13 years already since 2009, which is hard to believe. Are you still in touch with Mike's family at all?
Yeah,
cool.
They still come to gigs when we play Huddersfield.
Oh, great.
So message them now and then about birthdays and everything. So. Yeah.
That's great. Oh, really, really nice to hear that. Honestly, they're still supporters of EVILE because you said they still come to.
Her daughter looks just like him as
really?
well. I remember the last gig we did at Huddersfield. I didn't know she was coming, and his partner Haley was there, and she was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" I just saw this girl next to her. I just looked and thought, Jesus Christ, it just looks just like him. It's amazing.
I see her quite often. She works at a place close to me, and I could call in for something and we just end up talking for about half an hour and holding everything up. It's great.
Mike was obviously a huge fan, as you are, of Destruction.
Yes.
As am I as well. This is a proper thrashy album, Hell Unleashed. You obviously would have loved this.
Yeah. And this would be... the past 3 albums, they'd be like, no.
Too melodic, too many ballads.
Yeah. And then this would be like, yeah, like it, yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for sharing just that bit with us. I know it's not easy to talk about loss, but just really grateful that you've chatted about us on that topic. Thank you very much. So just a couple of questions left before we wrap up. So Joel, just going to turn to you now. The first time you came to, I think it was your first time you came to Cardiff as a member of EVILE. That's something. Yes. It was in the Barfly venue, which isn't there anymore. Sad times. Yes. And I know, there's been numerous things since, but I don't think it's there anymore. It's definitely not a live music venue. But something happened the night you were obviously playing with EVILE.
Certainly did. It was my first ever gig with EVILE, and it was also the day my daughter was born, on the very same day. So I'll never forget that day. You know, it's I'll never forget a birthday because it's.
So you say never forget. What do you remember from that night?
It was so overwhelming. I mean, it was first gig with these guys. Obviously, I was replacing Mike. You know, it was first night of I think we were going out for 6 weeks, something like that. It was a big tour. And I woke up that morning and it was this, 2010. It was an old phone. I think you could only just get photos on them back then. And there's just a picture of a baby, and I was like on the tour bus, and I was like, "Oh, everybody, I'm a dad." And they're like, well, "Yeah." No, just now.
Just now.
He didn't tell us, so we just woke up and he goes, "I'm a dad."
Too nice.
What? What do you mean?
I didn't want to. It just seemed like another added pressure. You know, obviously me being the new guy in the band, everything that gone on, and I just thought, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Oh shit, the bridge is here.
By the
way. Unfortunately, I think the night after we played in Wrexham, and then we had like 4 or 5 shows around Manchester, Leeds, York. So I was just jumping off the tour bus at the service station, getting a taxi home, and spending a bit of time with my partner and daughter, and then just did what I could, at the time. So yeah.
This is it. Overwhelming. How overwhelming that must have been for you.
And she's a young woman now. She's nearly a teenager. It's 13,
crazy. 14, yeah.
Yeah, she was just gone 12. Yeah, so
that's incredible. Well, what amazing memory Cardiff has for you as well.
Oh, fantastic!
Shame it's not in the Barfly.
I just opened another one in Bourne tonight. I don't know.
I was going to say it might be full moon, but I don't go to that route. Last question, guys. So again, thanks for speaking to us today. So finally, either what did you do daily, weekly, or monthly, just to keep you guys ticking along and as happy as you could be, just to sort of get through the day, get through the week?
Do you mean like through the lockdown? Or
no, just any single day now. Like, do you go for a walk, put on something that isn't metal? I know you like Frank Sinatra to help you with singing.
Yeah, I will admit I listen to a lot of non-metal things like Frank Sinatra and stuff, but I've got 2 kids. One's 1 and one's 4. So me and my partner Natalie, our days are quite full at that age. So it's pretty much just kids, and then when they get to sleep, it's sitting down and watching something, and then going to sleep. That's pretty much it.
Fair enough. Mine 1 and almost 4, so very similar age.
Cool.
So
you get it.
So Hey Dougie, Cocomelon, Netflix. So you can't watch telly anymore. What you want to watch?
Yeah, and subtitles as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's just me and her, I have to have subtitles on now because I can't hear what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
We're so used to subtitles because of the kids.
So
I have no idea what you've been saying through this.
I'll definitely get subtitles on this video. What about yourself, Joel?
Same. I mean, I love movies, so like usually when my daughter's gone to bed, me and my partner will stick on a good film. Like walking, walk quite often, and I'm a real fan of real ale as well, so I like going to sort of like different pubs and trying out different beers and stuff like that as well. So I did get to a point where I was sort of like ticking them off on an app and things like that. And it just got a bit ridiculous, so I just drink them and enjoy it. That's the one, that's how I used it. But I think you questioned it. It says, why is your Twitter feed full of all these badges?
Every time we did it, it'd be on his Twitter. There's like 800 things in his Twitter.
Like, Joel's had 200 beers this week.
We need a word with Joel. Yeah. Guys, thanks so much for speaking today. So, as we always say in METALIDADS, whether it's whammy bars or weaning, napalm, death or nappies, it's always good to talk. Awesome. And thanks for talking to us today. So,
thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, guys. You guys are METALIDADS, honorary METALIDADS.
And we're going to be able to get a photo of one of you guys just holding this up.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're trying to start a campaign throughout the metal circles, not just the UK but throughout the world, but let there be talk, basically. That's people we need to talk about, because we don't want to lose any more metal musicians to suicide, etc. So be very, very grateful. I've got to do the horns. Thanks, dudes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, that was fantastic catching up with the EVILE lads to hear about their up-and-coming UK tour, which is actually currently on, where they'll end up in Dublin and Belfast, supporting Overkill. It's fantastic to hear about how they keep happy, their family, and again how they deal with bereavement, because it has been quite a common thing in the metal themes and the metal circles, where bands have actually lost a lot of members. Mike, their bassist, who passed in 2009, because with a lot of metal bands they don't get a lot of time to grieve, they're on the road making new albums, etc. So it's great to have some insight on that. Nice to hear about how they wrote the album and how good the UK tour is going. Talking about that, I'm going to go watch them now. Can't wait. Awesome. Yeah!